Good morning and welcome back. Today I'm on my way out to my brother's house. I got a text message from him that he shot his very first archery buck here in PA. Season opened this past Saturday, and apparently he was out hunting last night. And for most, that's not a very big deal, but I think once you see this story, you will be surprised, and also it's quite inspirational. So I'm very excited to bring this to you and show you what my brother was capable of doing, and hopefully you guys will watch along. And I'm gonna try to keep it as animal friendly as possible, but the story behind it is actually the whole reason why I wanted to bring this to you guys. So stick around. When we get out there, I will give you or show you the reasons why this is such an exciting time for him. All right, so I made it out here to my brother Mark's, and got him in this really nice 7-point. Actually got real nice rack on him, but I guess more importantly, Mark, can you tell me, like, when did you go out hunting, or when did this all start to take place, and how did it happen?
Boy, it's taken a long time. My first deer at the age of 56 years old.
Yeah.
And of course, been in a wheelchair for many years.
Since you were 20 years old, I believe it was.
Yeah. But it's been a challenge. Then you, of course, helped me create the gun rest,
Yeah.
and to get the setup using a Raven crossbow. So last night, about 6:30, the deer were moving around. We had about 10 doe, and they were stomping and snorting, and I thought for sure they had busted me because I was just backed into the goldenrods.
So you weren't in a ground blind or anything like that?
Nope. It was the deer were coming out pretty regular in a certain area in behind our farm field, so I backed into the goldenrods.
Yeah.
Tried to get as concealed as I could, and I saw this one come off my left shoulder to the west, and I kind of got set up. I was a little nervous about whether or not I got a clean shot on him. But he was 17 yards, didn't see me. I was trying to shoot over the weeds, but yet not get busted.
Yeah.
And then when I fired, I was using the lighted knock. I could see it went right through and then landed about 5 feet behind where the deer was standing.
Huh.
Oh, and then my heart started racing. And then,
Yeah, you got buck fever?
Oh,
Were you
God,
shaking beforehand?
I was more nervous about making a mistake. I didn't want to injure. I didn't want to have it be something I would regret later. And as soon as I shot, I got that feeling. I saw him do a kick. It was like a donkey kick, and then he ran to the east and then circled around behind me, and then I heard a crash. Of course, by then I waited about half hour, 45 minutes, and it was dark and I couldn't see anything.
So
and
you just sat there in your terrain hopper, and we'll go over this little buggy here that he's got, and some things that we've done to it over the past couple of years. But you basically just sat in this thing until dark and waited, and then headed up home.
That's it. 4 hours in the woods.
Yeah. So you decided that after you made that shot and you thought it was a good shot and it was dark, did you come out last night and look around for it?
We did, but I didn't want to get too far because I didn't want to bump it and then really lose it.
Okay.
And so I found the bolt, the arrow from the crossbow, and it was blood all the way down the shaft, and so I knew it was a hit. But I wasn't 100% sure exactly how, because he was somewhat quartered towards me, and I was trying to get it just behind the right shoulder.
Yeah.
He was facing east. His tail was facing west. But fortunately, it was a good shot.
All right. Well, then I guess the good thing to this story is you guys came out this morning and looked around for it, and I hope I can get the picture from your wife of this thing, how you how you found it, and also how you were sitting in the field hunting. I mean, basically you were wide open sitting in this camouflaged up terrain hopper, and you can't really get a good idea of what it looks like with all the camouflage on it, but it is an electric 4-wheel drive buggy that Mark purchased. How many years have you had this thing now?
About 2 to 3 years. 2 years.
About 2 years now. And when he originally got it, he brought it over to the house and said, hey, I need to come up with a way to hunt out of this thing. Not only does he use it more for meandering around through the fields and the goldenrods and to go to his ground blinds and things like that, but you know, he uses it around the house, and it gives him a chance to get around to different places. But how far around do you think we figured that you can pivot? Because you can't really pivot past your left side because you're a right-hand shooter.
Well, actually, I've been practicing doing an opposite shoulder left eye shots.
Oh yeah.
So I'm able to do.
Yep.
Yep. So I'm able to go from maybe about a 45 to the left, all the way over to the same direction to the right.
Huh. So you got about 90-degree angle that you can turn and rotate on this thing.
It's opened up my ability to shoot.
Yeah.
And you've got to practice it.
So how did you shoot last night? Were you shooting right hand normal?
I was. This was about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock position, only 17 yards from me.
Yeah.
And it was challenging because he was in behind the goldenrods, and I didn't want to shoot through the weeds.
Yeah.
And I still wanted to make sure that I got a decent shot, and his head was down for most of it. And I knew he was going to bust me as soon as he lifted his head up.
Yeah. Well, the neat thing about it is when he shot this deer, it obviously come running through these tall goldenrods and come over here. And where they found it was in this tree. It was literally, it looked like it tried to run through the tree and basically just collapsed right there. And that's where it expired, and it was a good clean shot, and Mark's got his first PA buck, so congratulations.
Yep.
All right, let's take you stay here. I'll walk over and show you his parking spot. So you can see it's kind of a little pocket that he backed into, and it's only as wide as the machine was. You can see where the wheels trampled down the goldenrods and just waited here. So as we're sitting here, Mark, he walked out in front of you?
He was right off about 10 yards from me here, just in that just this side of the dried grasses.
Well, again, just want to let you guys know that this really isn't about, because I know a lot of you may or may not enjoy hunting, but it's more of an inspirational story and what Mark's been able to do over all the years. So we'll go up and take a look and see if we can't get that mount that he uses and with his crossbow, and show you how we managed to get that taken care of so he could still enjoy life out here in the woods with everybody else.
On my own, but I'm never alone. On a road to wherever I want. And you see, I go with the wind, the places I've been, I keep them within. Holding on to a feeling so strong.
All right, so we got Mark's deer back here on the hill, and you guys, I don't think you've ever met my brother Mark, and I think Scott was in a video back out at his house with Kyle when we did the Carfield race, but Scott come out as well to help Mark and get this deer taken care of and up here. But Scott, you just come back from where?
I was out in Idaho hunting elk.
And what did you, I know you didn't get one, but what did you think of the experience out there?
Oh, it's beautiful country, just beautiful country. And we got close. I mean, trying to call an elk in and get within shooting range of bow with a bow, is just an incredible experience. And it's tough. And
So-
you just don't walk out and do it.
So you highly recommend, even though you didn't get anything, just the experience itself was worth every minute of the time you went out.
The country, the scenery, and the camaraderie. The fun part's coming back to camp and telling all the stories and the faux pas and everybody's picking on each other, and you know, that's the best part. Have a good crown and then go back to sleep and get back up before dark. Yeah.
Well, there's actually kind of a comical part to this hunt for Mark here, his hunt today. And Scott, the graciousness of his heart, spent 3-4 months building a ground blind with electric opening doors and little switches, and the windows were all on actuators and a little electronic motors and everything else. Yeah. And Mark went out and shot this stupid deer just parked in the middle of the field. So
you got to go where the deer are.
Yeah.
Grow goldenrod instead of building a blind.
So
it's cheaper.
It's kind of a comical story that went along with that. You know, my first instinct when Mark sent me the picture was, boy, how did you get such a good picture that close up? And I thought for sure he was in the ground blind. And then when I seen the next picture of him packed into the goldenrods, I thought, oh boy, that's going to be an interesting explanation of how he shot a deer and didn't even need that ground blind Scott built.
No, but that ground blind is awesome, though, just to be able to do it independently without having to have somebody else go out in the woods with you.
Yeah.
Go into position. You get everything set up before you ever get out there. And then once you're out there, you're as independent and as free as it gets.
You just got to wait for the deer to come by. So.
Yep.
All right, I wanted to do a quick walk around of this terrain hopper and the mount system that he's put in this thing. So just to give you kind of a bird's eye view here of what this thing really looks like. It's 4-wheel drive. Each tire has an electric motor on it, and it is joystick controlled here. Forward, back, left and right is turning the steering wheel. And these are a pretty neat little buggy, pretty neat little terrain hopper. Mark, can you give me a quick, how did you come about this particular buggy, and tell people what you had prior to this, your track chair?
The track chair is a real unique vehicle that has a skid steer like mechanism, joystick controlled. Goes very well. A lot of people love them. I found that it was rough, did not have the range or the versatility of a 4-wheel drive independent suspension type vehicle. And when I found Todd LeMay out of Terrain Hopper in Arizona, connected with them, he answered all the questions that I had. It was really one of the nicest things that I could have gotten into to open my world and just expand my ability to get out and truly enjoy places that I otherwise couldn't get to.
So you've used this for more than hunting, and maybe you can explain, I guess, primarily it's used to get out here on your farm and get around and get out and do hunting. But what else have you thought you could use this for? Maybe explain your place in Florida. Do you use it down there? Can you get out on a beach?
Oh, shoot, we've been on the beach. We've been in and out of the what they call the Panther Forest, and you can get in the preserves. Crew is an example of a preserve area that has bicycle trails, off-road trails, and being that this is an electric vehicle, it is permitted on any state property that otherwise a person that could walk would also have the ability to take this vehicle, because it is qualified as a other type of mobility vehicle for those with disabilities.
All right, and I guess just maybe a quick explanation. Mark is a quadriplegic. Technically he's paralyzed from, would you say, the neck down?
Pretty much, but I've got use of the arms with limited mobility in the arms.
And your fingers do not work, and I say that very loosely.
I don't have dexterity in the fingers, but you manipulate the hands to make the fingers function.
I've always got a kick out of watching you do things and the way you are able to adapt.
Let me show how this works.
Okay, first we'll get into, like I said, this is a final rest mounting system, and you can use this final rest system here for a ground blind, for any kind of hunting and things like that you'd like. But we had to kind of specially adapt it for this terrain hopper, and it comes with a mounting post that it pivots on here. It comes with a crossbow clamp style mount up here, and then this pivots. It's got a pivoting arm that there's 3 independent arm pieces there. And one challenge that Mark had is, as he's going down his pretty steep hill in the backyard, we had to find a way to lock this thing in. And what I did was I came up with, it's just a little push pin up through the bottom, and it lifts the 2 pins there, and that releases the entire mechanism. And now he can maneuver that whole rest around. So kind of give everybody a view of what you can move there. And prior to the final rest on this thing, we had made a PVC tube, and I used a trolley type of ball bearing roller system where the front of the crossbow just had one sweeping motion that came around. So it limited him an awful lot as to the range of what he can do. And this also, if you can show Mark, if you need to shoot up or down, so if you point it out ahead of you, that arm also rests or pivots here, and he can maneuver that thing up and down. So it gives him quite a good range of motion throughout that. And it was, you know, Mark did all the research on this final rest arm, and I guess it's just made all the difference in the world and opened up a whole lot more possibilities for you. And today you actually harvested your first deer with using all these things you put together with it.
You know, it's pretty amazing what you can do when you realize that just with a little time and a little patience, you figure it out.
Yep. And something else that we did with this is I made a bracket for his phone, and he can do a phone mount right on there. So he could actually video, he can talk, he can do whatever he wants. And these are kind of a cool foam case cover. They're a rock form, and they've got dual magnets on the back. And all I did was put a metal plate on there, made a mount into the factory mounts that come with that. So if he's out there hunting and he happens to shoot a deer, why, he can send a message.
Call for help.
Is that what you did last night? Did you text Marie and say, hey, I just shot one? And Marie's his wife, by the way.
I did. That was what you do. It's you waited a little bit just to make sure everything was a good clean hit, and then text her and say, well, I'm going to be in the woods a little later tonight.
It's a little easier to text when you're smiling than when you're shivering and cold.
Yeah.
One other thing Mark did to this terrain hopper is he added all this camo covering to it, and I don't know that that was a store-bought item. You actually had to have somebody kind of measure and figure that out. So maybe can you tell me a little bit about that?
I bought the fabric, which is a 3D fabric, and once you get that, then you start figuring out how you attach it. And I use the Velcro strips and utilized that on the existing framework, and also that bracket that you made for me.
Yeah.
And I can only do 3 sides because this is the side I get in and out.
Okay.
And the lever mechanism.
This arm here, that pulls back, and this whole part of the roll cage, it pivots back here, and this whole thing lifts up. Now I don't know, can you do that, or can I do it real quick while it's sitting there just to show? So I know I'm working with shadows in the sunlight here, but you slide that forward and lift this up, and there, that allows him to get out. And he's got his big winter hunting blanket on here to keep him warm, but the reality of it is this is how he transfers onto his wheelchair and gets in and out of the buggy. So, you know, and we messed around with that. And over on this side, I know that we had to do something to maintain the ability to still get in and out or use this arm. So I made a quick release, and it screws down into the floor down here that will raise and lower if he needs to go higher, but it's also just screwed up to the bottom of the floor of the buggy there. Mark, do you have any parting thoughts or parting shots on the video you'd maybe like to address to people? And, you know, don't give up. What do you got?
One of my favorite quotes is, if you think you can or if you think you cannot, either way you're right. So it's a matter of just getting out and pursuing whatever dream you need.
Alrighty, well, there's a really good story, and I guess we're all really proud of what Mark's been able to do and all the different accomplishments that he's done over the years. So I guess we'll end the story there. So thanks for joining in, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.